Welcome to Navigating Boundaries with the Carter Brothers.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're excited to be here today. I've got Dr. Sterling Carter with me, of course, and myself, Stephen Carter. We're going to introduce our guests here in a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about our discussion topic for today. So today we're talking about futuristic healing, the tech wave in healthcare. So everyone knows technology, obviously, with AI and all the different tools that are continuing to happen. The rate of technology advancements now is moving at a rate that's just, it's so fast now. It's insane, right?
Insane.
And as we, of course, healthcare, Sterling and I, that's the area that we focus on. But specifically in healthcare, we wanted to talk a little bit about all the advancements that are happening in healthcare, that the advancements on the impact of those advancements on therapy and healthcare provision. And so we're here to talk about that today. So Sterling, tell us a little bit about our guest. Have here with
Mr.
us.
Leslie Wilson. So I've got a few pages here that we need to share with the audience. So Mr. Wilson is an accomplished technology executive and entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience. Is that still accurate or a little bit? Okay. I usually don't update my LinkedIn.
No, I just updated recently.
Yeah. So with over 15 years of experience leading high-growth startups, skilled at developing AI/ML solutions, implementing development ops,
right,
and guiding companies through digital transformation.
Yes, sir.
Passionate about innovating through emerging technologies while operating with financial discipline. Now exploring leadership opportunities to leverage startup honed abilities to make an impact on business success. Excel at building diverse teams and maximizing talent through mentoring. Let's connect the shape of the future of technology aligned with corporate objectives. So Leslie, prior to developing IM Brands Consulting, he worked as a Fortune 500, worked at a Fortune 500 energy company, actually several, Exxon, Coke, and Enron, to name a few. He's worked as a CTO, Chief Technology Officer for an energy startup company, and he's worked as a Senior Technology Architect, Engagement Management, our manager for the top consulting firms, Bearing Point and HP/Knightsbridge. His specialties include technology consulting, software development, mobile application development, web design /development, graphics design, internet marketing, social media marketing, brand extension, and technical architecture. I mean, is there anything else?
Let me just say it for the people. So Leslie is one of the coolest nerds I know.
That's true.
So you're not going to find any nerds as cooler than Leslie Wilson.
And that's actually my tagline. It's cool to geek, you love and miss.
That's right.
I created that about over 12 years ago. And I have myself with my shades on smoking a cigar, which everybody knows I like a good cigar.
Absolutely. So Leslie is very accomplished, but not only is he accomplished leader and entrepreneur, but he's also our business partner.
Absolutely.
He sure is. We have a venture together called MyMedCred, and we continue to modify. We've got an electronic signature platform that we're about to roll out as well. So we're not just fans, we're members. Like what's the little hair club?
I'm not just a member, I'm the president.
That's exactly.
You know what I mean? Small country.
That's true.
I'm just saying, I'm not an old client.
That's right.
So,
yes, sir.
So I guess we should jump into it. So Les, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how did you get to this point? I mean, you have so much success, you've done so many things. Just give us a little roll up on how you're able to get from A to Z.
Yeah. So a lot of people always ask me, how did I get to the tech world? Because I started out as a trader.
Okay.
So in undergrad, I was gonna focus on accounting and computer science as double majors, and they were like, "No, that curriculum's too difficult to use both at the same time." So I said, "All right, fine. I'm a numbers guy, so let me focus on accounting and finance." So I got the double major there, and then decided to, instead of being a bean counter, let's go on Wall Street. I'm a boat gambler from Louisiana, so that's how we roll. And went down there. I went up there, I should say, and I told somebody, I said, imagine 4 men staying in what the equivalent of this room right here, trying to make it on Wall Street for the first year or two. And then you start to get into the technology. Back then, it wasn't the same, obviously, technology we have now. And so I was like, okay, let me get into that space and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Get back there, and that's how I ended up in Exxon, because I wanted to get back to Houston.
Yeah.
But at that point, I'd had trading experience, Wall Street, learning New York, taking it in Harlem, learning all this. So I was an East Coast brother with a Southern flavor by the time I got back.
Okay.
And so now I'm back in Houston, go work at Exxon. And the beauty of Exxon at that time is they will put you in all these different opportunities. So I came in there with, I got my MBA, the executive MBA at Exxon, and they moved me into different pockets.
Okay.
So let's say after the first year or two, you do well, you go over here. And one of my last assignments was what we call a pricing system. So when people think about they'd be amazed how gasoline prices are created or formulated.
Okay.
And so I worked with them to build the systems for that. And then I started building trading commodity system of nat gas and oil and all that.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, this is great. So then the Koch brothers, everybody who back then knew Charles and Bill Koch,
They called you on the phone personally and said, "Hey, Les."
they flew me up on the private jet. Why are you trying to? What happened? They flew me up there on that private jet.
That's nice.
And they recruited me, and I remember it's a $28 billion private company at that time.
Right.
And they had a thing called market-based management, which is how they value the market.
Okay.
And so I tell people, if you ever seen the show Children of the Corn,
Yeah.
Yes.
that's what the building looked like. It was this black monolithic building in the middle of a cornfield in Wichita, Kansas.
Wow.
Okay.
And all the people who came there looked like the Children of the Corn. Blonde hair, blue eyes, no facial hair.
Same.
I'm the big tall brother, bald head, goatee.
Yeah.
From Houston, rolling up in there. I was like, okay, that's different. So then I got to meet them, and then at the time, Charles was the one who took care of Wichita. Took care of Koch Industries, and Bill was the playboy out of New York, the billionaire playboy.
Right.
And then as I worked with that company, they brought me on as a director to create a trading platform for their nat gas. So Koch Energy Trading, we built that up. And as I was leaving, as I was there, the formation of the Tea Party came in, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, I'm good. So Enron came knocking on the door. They came. And I tell people, it's like being a free agent.
Yeah.
And everybody wants your services.
Right.
And at that time, Enron became that darling company. And, I'm newly single with a young son I'm raising. So I'm like, I'm going to go work at Enron.
Oh, right.
And I tell people, one of the best places I've worked. And people always like, well, I would left before it went down. But while we were there, they brought me in as a senior director. Okay. And now I'm building a trading platform for Enron as a whole, and we're killing it out there.
Yeah.
And I'm living downtown. I'm out in my loft, and I'm walking to work, and they treating us like rock stars. We got 5-star chefs in the place. Yeah. We got massage services. We got everything you want because we're working long hours. And they're paying us like rock stars and professional athletes. And let's just say, me, I probably had a good time.
Right.
And it was duly deserved, I must say. But while there, I started to build the technology pieces of the well. So I became known as the guy in technology. Because there's one too many, obviously, people of color, especially African-American males in that space. Sure. And for me, going into that space, it was like, being my size and height, I always had to deal with the first question. Oh, who did you play for?
Right.
So I said, well, every time I go there, and I said, guys, let me just touch out the number one thing. No, I did not play professional sports. And I said, if you look at my hands, they're not calloused, but my brain is calloused.
There you go.
And they'd be like, so that was my whole part of getting in and getting past that initial stereotype. So that got me on the road to technology. I left at Enron and became a CTO for a startup, which had me going to Silicon Valley to help raise capital. So now I have to get in front of individuals in Silicon Valley in early 2000s, and raise millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So now the business side of me, because I tell people I'm a businessman who happens to be a technologist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the business side of me kicks in. I'm good with numbers, so I'll go raise about $3 million. We bring it back, and I tell people I had $20 million with stock option. And if only for the .com bust, it would have been a different ball game. And I still got them stock options. I be looking at them like, man, that's 20 mil right there. Back then it would be worth maybe 100 mil now. But that's how things happen. And so I moved into the Big Five consulting world.
Okay.
And that's where I started to be head of energy trading risk management systems. So we were working with different clients. So that whole journey of getting into technology, it started in college, but then it started manifesting as I rose through working in corporate America. And then the consulting firm, that Knightsbridge, was the big consulting firm in Chicago, we got acquired by Hewlett-Packard.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, HP near, used to be Compact, way out there up 249. So I get out there, I've now been made a partner.
Okay.
And of course, now I got to go to different companies, Waste Management, where I met a good friend and my partner, Byron Leonard,
Yes.
as a consultant over there. And now I'm pitching them not only the consulting services, but now HP wants us to pitch hardware to them.
Excellent.
Which is, it conflicted what their hardware actually did. They said it did one thing, we know it didn't. So at some point, it's just like, you know what? I've been itching to start my own company.
Right.
And what got me going, I always tell people, is that I was able to work in 2003, the Houston, we had the Super Bowl in Houston.
Yep, that's right. I remember that.
And I was living downtown, and right across the street from me, they had the Houston Super Bowl committee, host committee was over there. So
Yeah.
I ended up working over there and put together the platform that allowed minority companies get that 10% of that 300 million they always talk about. So set up a system for minority suppliers. And while I was doing that, I was making more money doing that part time than I was matching what I was doing full time. I was sitting there like, I really like doing this.
Yeah.
I'm tolerating this.
Exactly.
Right.
And you know, as entrepreneurs, you get to a certain point where you're like, if you're passionate about something, just go for it.
Just go for
that. And it's interesting. I just had a conversation the other day with a brother at the Cigar Lounge in Galveston.
Yeah.
And I said, people ask me, it's that question about when I talk to Christians and they say they have the faith the size of a mustard seed.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so you have faith in God, but do you have confidence in God? I said, it's a different mindset. I said, I'm supremely confident because I have a relationship with a supreme being who I'm confident in.
Okay.
And I said, you have faith, but you don't have confidence. And the brother looked at me, he's like, oh my God. And so that's what you have to have when you move into the space that we're in as entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I did. It's like, okay, it's not a leap of faith. This is how divine. It's supposed to be that way. And took my money and earnings from these companies. And in 2008, started the company at the beginning of the Great Recession.
Yep.
With our first African-American president. And so I'm sitting there like, well, I have nowhere to go but up. And in 3 years, the hockey stick pivot kicked off. So that's kind of how this journey is all started here. And then obviously over that time, we have a chance over the last 15 plus years to meet and we always have these conversations with people. So this is like-minded individuals,
Right.
who like to get things done a certain way. And it's iron sharpens iron mentality. And, then I have to let them know we are the House of Kappas.
Yes.
So that's a whole nother level of achievement we can't really get into it, folks. But y'all know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
But that's how I got to where it is today. And now the journey, as we talked about technology and where we want to go with this, I tell people, what do you want? People always ask me, what do you want to do next? Because y'all know me, I'm a bit of a, I like to do stuff that's a little off the on the right side of it. I don't follow down the straight path. Everybody do this, I like to do my own thing. But one thing I do want to do is make sure that for as technology and what we can give back to the generations after us. I'm big on generational wealth and legacy.
Yes,
you
are.
About.
Yes.
So that's my passion. So now you know, providing opportunity, you guys providing a platform for us to be able to talk about these type of things is great. So I feel like I know I've been talking for a minute, but you know, you asked me, I had
Yeah. So much to gather from what you just talked about. And, you know, I'm glad you touched upon the confident piece, right? Confidence, because it exudes from you. As you're telling the story, all the successes that you've had, I was sitting back just thinking about, where does that confidence come from? And I love the way you said the confidence comes from, you know, having not just faith, but being a part of that relationship with that supreme being and knowing that you have that. But was it your parents that instilled that confidence in you? Where, like, because it's so evident in the way you present yourself.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, the dynamics of parents and me and understanding. I'm a bit of a, like I said, a cool geek nerd guy. And so part of the nerdiness in me is data. Data is fascinating to me. But the DNA data is even more fascinating. You kind of figure out, how did I get here? How did I get to become this person? And so you look at your parents, you look at your lineage, and all this thing really makes you who you are. But I remember as a kid in Louisiana, in Shreveport, I spoke fluent French. I was an actor. I was a musician. And that's the path I thought I was going to go down.
Okay.
And I was very good at doing plays and everything in French. And my mother was a renowned, the Diana Ross of the South, they used to call her. And my newly discovered father was one of the great bass players of this generation. So I grew up in the musical aspect. Creative,
right.
but also very business-minded. And for me, I started feeling that confidence when I became the big kid who was always doing acting and plays, and now I'm 6 feet tall at 12, 13 years old, and everybody else is like 5'4". And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pivot. But in a household that allowed me to embrace who I am at that time as a young African American male, and the power. So we were able to find out, because I'm a read the encyclopedia A to Z, Z to A kind of guy. So knowledge was very important. That knowledge gave me confidence.
Right.
Because the more I start to read about us and how powerful we are as men of color, that power just kind of pushed through me. And it actually gave me the power I needed to, when I'm in these rooms or in these corporate walls, and people used to say, you always pushing the envelope. I said, because I'm trying to break through every wall so that I can bring others along with me. And so that confidence came through over time, and it pushed me through it. So I got to that point when I finally broke through, and I did all this, and I'm bringing people along. And then I was sitting there like, okay, now what? I said, so in my mind, I'm talking to God like it. So that's what you needed me to do. I feel like there's more. And then he said, you see that little blue-eyed green sun you got there? That's the one. He said, that's the one you got to prepare. And so now you take you start to say, oh, it's not about me. So you have to instill all that confidence into your legacy. And he needs to see you as the supremely confident, tough, but loving father. And a mentor, not just I told my son, I love him to death now. Y'all know I love Dirty Red. I'm like, I am not your friend.
I'm your father.
Okay, I am your father. I am your father. I'm that baby's pappy. You know, all that. But that confidence is, you know how it is when you're around confident people. It lifts you up, man. Absolutely. Like, we have some of the best conversations.
We do.
And even with all those conversations, one, I didn't know that, and that's what I love about these podcasts, is we get to learn so much about it.
Exactly.
So I didn't know you had a musical acting background. But it makes sense because your son is an actor, right? And so he's an artist, and so I guess you instilled that into him.
Yeah, it's interesting. You say that most people who know me don't know that I used to act and that I'm a musician. I play the bass and all that kind of stuff, drums. Because I don't really get the chance to open up. They know me as and it's interesting, even at dancing, people don't realize that I was like the king of salsa dancing for a long time.
Okay.
And I can salsa dance. I used to win competitions.
Really?
They called me the tall salsa king.
Okay.
And so the dancing part of me, people are always surprised because, you're a big dude. I said, I'm a big dude who can dance. I said, so I've been dancing all my life too.
Yeah,
and so people are like, I didn't know that about you. Yeah. That's because, they always say, you always have your laptop with you.
Right.
And you're always doing this. And I said, yeah, that's one piece of me. But that creative side that we just talked about.
Right.
And that when my son, after 4 years working in Dell Technologies, decided he wanted to pursue his journey, and as a model and an actor, and I'm like, okay, let's set up your company, get your credit score, got up to about 780, 790, got your business card, right down the street, one of our frat brothers, Steven with a D Carter, set him up as his business banker.
Wow.
I said, that brother gonna take care of you. I said, I'm gonna take care of the finances, and you go and live your dream.
Okay.
And now, as I like to affectionately call my son Dirty Red, he is now living his dream in L.A. He's going to be at the Super Bowl. He's in Austin right now doing commercial.
Yeah.
He just did his first movie role.
And
you talking about, when we talk now, I'm his advisor.
wow.
So it's amazing, these things. You're talking about that confidence. I literally fed into him.
Absolutely.
And I said, look, man, I need you to be 10 times better than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't just, I want to be like you, Dad. Nope. I need you to be way better.
Way better. Yeah.
And he has.
That's great. So obviously you've had a great life, right? Not that it's over yet, but you've done what most people would do. Yeah, I mean, you've had like 10 different superstar careers and jobs, and now you're doing what you love. You talked about the importance of being passionate about something, right?
Absolutely.
And we talk to our audience all the time about it, and we write about this in our book. If you want to start a business, if you want to do something, make sure that you're passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And that you love it, because that way it's not a job. It's just something that you do each and every day.
You don't feel like it. And we all know, I tell people, I said, look, everybody wants to get paid in 30 days, and so do I.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, so if you're passionate about that, then you're going to go and figure out the things you need to do that. And again, when someone asked me, man, you gave up a high-paying job, I get paid all the vacation.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said, but yeah, have you ever felt like you're a prisoner of something? Like,
Yeah.
your full potential
Right.
can't be reached.
Right.
And so for me,
Exactly.
the number one thing I did is I'm bet on myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm never going to lose if I bet on me. If I put all my faith in these companies, and then you see the Googles and Metas and Apples and Exxon of the world laying up thousands of people.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting around like, well, what do I do next? Some of my skill sets will just align with that company. I can't take my skill set to another place. And that's part of, making sure we as entrepreneurs, or those who want to become, is having that passion.
Yeah.
And look, you and I both know, I told people I'll eat ramen noodles if I had to, and beans and rice. I said, we always talk about material things. I said, all that. I would literally sell all that to maintain the passion that I want, and to continue in.
Right.
We have to sit back and enjoy some of our success, like you said.
Absolutely.
And we have done that and continue to do so. But at the end of the day, that passion really plays a part, the biggest part.
So we should probably talk about technology a little bit, right?
Let's do it.
We should. I had a question, and this is kind of off the script, but it's related to technology. As one of the things that we know as being an entrepreneur is that you have to always stay hungry. You can never get complacent. You can never sit back on your laurels, because the younger Leslie, the younger Sterling, younger Stephen is waiting to take your spot.
That's right.
They are looking at you. They're trying to reinvent what you did and do it better. They're looking to take your spot. But the question I have for you, Les, is that for technology, and we alluded to this earlier on, because technology is advancing at a rate that we've never seen before. With you being in technology, how do you continue to stay relevant in an industry that is continuing to advance on a daily basis?
Sure.
Obviously, it has a lot to do with self-learning and continuing to understand and learn and look at the trends. But what do you do being in the space to stay relevant?
No, that's a very, very good question. And to your point, I always tell people I stay hungry. I feel uncomfortable being comfortable. I need to be comfortable at being uncomfortable, and I am. I stay uncomfortable. And that's why when people say you always have your laptop, I said, let me show you what I'm doing. I said, when I have my laptop, I may have my iPad, I may have my phone, and I tell somebody, I said, I want you to come over here and look on my screen and tell me what you're seeing. They're like, oh, well, you got this technology news thing up. You got this trading platform that you're looking at. On your phone, you got your Google News. On your phone, you got your Flipboard. And you got targeted content coming in here. You got your ChatGPT. You got your algorithm stuff over here. And you're engaging in the conversation and maybe having a little taste of bourbon while we chatting. So I said, so my gift is the ability to multitask.
Gotcha.
And so with that and I like learning. So when I said early on, to your point, I'm an A to Z, Z to A, old school encyclopedia guy. My mother still has them all.
Okay.
And I've read through them a million times.
Right.
Back then, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have access to information.
Right.
So for me to stay on top of things, especially in tech, that's why it's so exciting to me, because I get a dual pleasure out of reading so much information and seeing how technology is impacting, but then also as a trader, now I'm looking at the market like, I'm seeing something over here. And one of those plays was in October 22 when my algorithm came up with a little, check out NVIDIA.
Okay.
NVIDIA, which is the big chip maker for all the AI platforms, OpenAI being the main one. So I always tell people, technology, that's why I have this relationship with technology and numbers.
Right.
Because there's a symbiotic relationship.
I see.
And for me to continue learning on both sides, I have to keep pushing myself.
Sure.
All the details. So back to that NVIDIA stock, it said $120 back in October 22. And my alert system says to buy, and then now it's near 600.
Okay.
Right. So to do that, I had to engage back into the trading technology. So I got into something, keyword, that I'm passionate about. So I'm building a trading system for the novice and the retail investors as I build for the institutional investors. But now I'm bringing it home so that I can teach folks how to do that. So that part of me, but learning, continue sharpening the iron. You have to, because to your point. You got the little young Thundercats, as I call them out here. Yo, they out here, they trying to take your spot. They see, and I even see them. I'm not mad.
Because we were the young Thundercats.
Thank you.
Trying to take some, and we took their spot.
We took,
because they were asleep. They were asleep at the wheel. We took this spot.
We cannot get comfortable at any point in time. Somebody asked me, when are you going to retire? I was like, I'm retiring. The good Lord call me home.
That's it.
Because my brain going to stay active.
That's what we
technology.
You
have to stay.
You do
in the game.
So if not, you'll be aged out.
There you go.
Your product won't be worth anything.
Look at how, if you look at the big tech companies, you look at IBM back in the day, and they were the bellwether for everything.
That's
tech,
right.
hardware side. They had to pivot to do a consulting services but they're still not what they used to be. So Microsoft almost did that. Microsoft almost fell off because they had this one platform, but then they started, we need to get into the cloud service. I grew up using Microsoft Access, using SQL Server.
That's right.
And all those, everything was Microsoft. So
that's right.
We built in those, right?
Yeah.
And then, so of course, Excel spreadsheets and VBAs and all that kind of stuff. So Microsoft, like, wait a minute, people are not storing all their data on the platforms, on the storage device. We need something in the cloud. And I remember when the whole cloud thing came out, people thought it was just something. It's just going to go and disappear. And it's like, it really isn't, guys. It's just another set of servers in a cloud environment instead of being in a physical environment.
Exactly.
Amazon Web Services, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, just selling books.
That's a great point.
And now he created Amazon Web Services, which, as a technologist, which our platform sits on, that's the bellwether now for cloud services.
Absolutely.
But they had to pivot because if they got left behind like IBM.
That's right.
Microsoft had to pivot as well. And then they took a flyer on this new company, OpenAI, like, hey, this Chat GPT thing might be doing something.
Yeah.
And that's how they pivoted. So now they are now $1 trillion company again because of that.
Yes.
So everything with technology is evolution. It's evolving.
So how is healthcare going to evolutionize?
So thank you. If you look at healthcare IT, and as we were building systems over the years, everything with healthcare, it's different because of all the regulations that comes with it, and the privacy, the data privacy, and all these things, and HIPAA and all these laws.
Absolutely.
So it's a different world than most industries that you build systems for, and you have to make sure that the privacy policies and the terms of use and the data and all that's and taken care of. And now with that technology, we look at everything is going to two-factor authentication.
Yes.
And so it's a 2FA. So basically, instead of saying, I'm going to get on this platform and just join, well, no, I'm going to send you a link to verify you are who you are, or else I'm going to send you an SMS text message to verify this. You get the verification code. Now you get in there. And now all this, the AWS platform and all this layers of security kind of keeps that data information in there contained.
Yes.
And so now you got this big front of people, cause just as the nature, people always want to break into something.
Yeah.
And so now, of course, cybersecurity is part of that. So now you get all these layers to protect the data in there. I just built a system for an app for a lady. Y'all mind me sharing the name? No. Everyday Living app. I met with the sister, Nicole Wilson, and it was an app about caregivers and providers.
Yeah.
Right? So this young lady owned several caregiver facilities for adult living facilities. And she ended up selling them and said, okay, now I want to take these physical assets I had and make it into an app. So I said, okay, obviously this is a healthcare thing because I had to tap into this system to pull data in here, and I had to tap into this system, and I had to make sure when they got into the app that the data and the information was protected. And the whole purpose of the app was, it was personal to me because during that time, my mother, who's 84 now, but she was 81 at the time, she suffered UTI, and I had never heard of it being so debilitating.
Okay.
And we literally had to put her in a care facility. And that's tough, with your mother. And because I always told her I would never do that, but we had to keep her alive. And at the same time, my queen, my lovely lady Sherry, her dad, who was 86 at the time, went into the hospital.
Okay.
And the bad data that he received was that he needed insulin shots.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And he didn't.
But he never needed. He was never diabetic.
Wow.
So he got the insulin shots. He died.
Wow.
Because of the mishap of the data they were getting. So when I built this app, part of it was a communication that we want to have and talk to other people, parents are suffering dementia, all these different things. So we had to create the online version of this. We had to make sure it passed the requirements needed with all the health-related information. Connect to Quest Diagnostics and next to this so we can pull all that data in. And then now you have a system where someone says, okay, I need my mother in this home in this area, and now I can look up there and I can go through and select. It's like the Airbnb for the and so they can select that. They can see the reviews. They connect with the doctor. But all that health data, the aggregation of it, it required multiple third-party systems. And they were very stringent upon allowing you to have access to that data, which that kind of goes with the HIPAA requirements.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I've building things in the healthcare IT space. It's totally different than building in, let's say, real estate and others, called the nature of the data. That's why in healthcare IT we look at kind of the new things that are happening and how we can utilize AI, machine language. Data to create our own little back-end systems, our own LLM, our own learning modules, so that we can go in and use that data. So, it's like what we're talking about with our platform, like the next evolution of the platform is to do AI.
Yeah.
And we have to look into that. We have to address it. I'm looking into it as we speak.
Well, let's talk about our platform.
Okay.
So so the audience gets a taste of it. Tell us about My MedCred.
Well, yeah. So the great thing about it, I'll just give a quick overview, is that I initially built this platform for a dental group client that I was working with. And as entrepreneurs are wont to do, these two reached out to me and said, hey, and this is the pivot that we always talk about.
Right.
Hey, we got a healthcare here, we got Sterling therapists, we got this, all these different groups. So, and I was like, okay. He said, we want to be able to create a system for practitioners, because it's, everybody know, most people know, it's kind of a one-to-many relationship. You have one practitioner with multiple credentials.
Mm-hmm.
And all this information over the years is typically stored in the file cabinet. And the problem is, when credentials expire, that has some legal, like we all learn, some legal ramification. If look, we want to pay you, but the credentials expire, so we can't pay you with expired credentials. So the idea was, how do we take that initial laborious process of saying, look, we got to get rid of the file cabinet. Not the first step.
They got to.
So file cabinet, okay, now we got to take that data online. So now we have this data in the cloud, Amazon Web Services. Now we have to make it two ways. We have two audiences. We have the intended practitioner audience, and then we have, well, actually multiple audiences. We have the audience behind the scene who have to manage it, which we work through that and put creative videos and people teaching. So it's an ongoing process. And then the ideal is businessman, we have to say, okay, how we're going to need to monetize this, and how do we do that? And so everybody, these guys, we always have this great spirited conversation out of love and passion to do what's right by us. So we created this baby called My MedCred for credential and storage and management. And over time, you say, okay, well, let's try this. And in the pandemic, we said, well, let's try this, and then well, let's try this. And the fact is, we're continually pinging it. And now it's like, okay, we're going into 2024. Like I said, we have e-signature platform. And so e-signature, DocuSign or HelloSign, which is now DropSign, and these platforms that are built by these huge companies. We're the little engine that could. We got three men here who said, we're going to build our own e-signature platform. We're not going to use this. And my brother over here made clear why we didn't need to use the previous one, because it was cost prohibitive. So there was and if I know anybody will bring that, a brother after my own heart. My mom used to tell me, boy, if I put a pen in your hand, by the time I take it out, it'll be a dime. You rub the cop off of it. I'm like, hey, mom, just keeping it real. So I respect that. That's how we get down. So now we're at that stage. We're like in year 3, and we're like, we went through a pandemic, and that's the key point. Is like the pandemic, while we just released it, like, let's go. Pandemic comes in, the 2 years are just like, and now we're sitting there just kind of a waiting period, like, okay, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And now we start getting some breathing space in late 22 and 23, and we do the e-signature platform. Now we're going to 24. So, okay, now we're ready to rev it back up. What's the next phase of that? So as I'm developing AI solutions for folks, and I'm looking at stuff, I'm looking at the platform like, okay, how do we, one of the things that we have to do, I think, is have that AI chat box in there.
Absolutely.
So that when people go into that, we have all this data now. So now we build this language model within My MedCred. And so now we have the chat bot, a practitioner, someone comes in there and like, what do I do if this happens? What does this happen? How do I do this? And now you got all the information coming on here. So what that does is alleviate us getting the support messages from Zendesk, but it answers them in a media standpoint.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of the first line. But as we create that AI model, there are some other elements of that we need to kind of forge out. So I'm going through right now, looking at everything and saying, what can we take with this platform, and how can we implement more AI solutions? And the beauty of this is that I don't have to sit over here. I mean, I read through tons of stuff, but I became an expert prompt engineer.
Okay.
And so what people prompt engineering is now a $300,000 a year gig.
Absolutely. 100%.
It is ridiculous. But for those who don't know, prompt engineering is the use of tools like ChatGPT, Claude 2.0, which I've been testing, working with Claude and checking that out, and borrowed from Google. And I tell people, I said, ChatGPT is not somewhere where you just go in and ask search questions like people typically do on Google. You have to be very specific. You have to create that AI
Ask the right
as
question,
if it's an AI. Ask the right question, but put it in the right frame of mind.
Absolutely.
So I created some GPTs. Now they have the GPT store where you can create your own GPT.
Okay.
And one of them, I wanted to mimic certain things I like. It could be, I want more knowledge on Africans. So now you're my African sage, and you know all things about the African continent. And I'm prompting and I'm creating. I'm like, okay, great. I got one about you're in a momentum trade investor. And I need to know everything about that. So I created that one. So I'm just creating all these different ones. And then I created me, Tech Architect Guru is what it's called.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to know everything. So I put my mag cred, I put in our original scope, I put in our new stuff, and I put all this. I said, I want you to take all this data. I mean, it's tons of data. And I want you to aggregate it. And I said, I want the top 5 to 10 AI solutions that we can build.
Wow.
Based on this
I
data.
love that.
Wow.
Yes.
Look for it in Basecamp on Monday.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about. Basecamp is our project management system. But I'm telling you that, so the process of taking all this data and aggregating it in one place, back in the day for us to go through this, it would take weeks.
Absolutely.
Weeks.
Absolutely.
I'm talking less than 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's just me going into Dropbox or going into Basecamp, pulling all our documents out, pulling even some of the conversations that we had,
Right.
and putting that, aggregating it, and just taking a bold of information. So let me squeeze it in here. Let me do the prompt engineering to get the right question, right? So now I'm like, since I've already created as a Tech Architect Guru, it's already pre-created, so it's pre-prompted.
Okay.
So it knows what I'm going to ask because I've already made it that way. But I just said, do all this. I'm just watching it. And I'm watching because it's fascinating. The geek part of me, I ain't gonna lie.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, it just goes through there and you're looking through there and it reads through
Seconds,
it. And it just, and then it gets down the end and then a little circle comes up and it's thinking. And then 5 to 10 seconds, and I'm sitting there like,
I'm believing me. Yeah.
Complete game change.
Yeah.
It is. And so for those out there that are not using OpenAI, ChatGPT, Bard, Claude, you are behind the curveball already. It completely 10x, as we were talking about 10x in a previous podcast. It reduces your time significantly. It really makes a difference. Technology is here to stay.
Absolutely.
We have to learn how to utilize it. And you're never too old or too young. You just have to just do a little bit of research.
No, it
like,
isn't.
Like my brother right here, always reading, never comfortable, always uncomfortable.
I stay uncomfortable. People ask me now, they ask, why do you guys know I have a place on the West End up here in the Galveston, and people will always ask me, why do you drive back and forth?
Yes.
Why don't you just stay out there and just enjoy the this, the that? And I said, because then I get too comfortable. And I said, there's nothing like getting in the car for an hour and 15 minutes and driving somewhere and I'm mind and I'm listening to this and I'm figuring out what I'm going to do next when I get to this destination.
Yes.
I'm on Zoom calls. I'm listening. I'm not looking. I'm just to have it on there and I'm having all this stuff. I'm getting all this accomplished.
You are.
While I'm driving.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not going to lie, I come to a stoplight and I'll pull out ChatGPT and I'm like, oh, I need to get this real done. So I'll prompt it to do certain things. And back to your original statement, how do you, stay on top of technology?
Yeah.
Like you just said, if you are not engaged with any of these prompt engineering, you will be left behind.
Absolutely.
And those same cats we talking about nipping out our ears, they're not coming for me.
That's right.
I got something for them. So they're not coming over here. Keep it moving, Thundercats.
I love it.
Yes,
So a
sir.
couple of final questions, Stephen. Anything we always ask about favorite books?
Yeah. We talked about a whole lot, and I really appreciate it. Any kind of transformational things or ideas or concepts that you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with the audience?
I would think I think it goes back to what I stated earlier about that supreme confidence and where does that come from and what we have to do to get there. And I think what I always share with people is time is literally our most precious commodity.
Absolutely.
And so if you look at where you are now and you say, okay, you're on that, you turn 50, it's the back nine of life.
That's
right. That's just what it is.
It is.
There's nothing wrong with hitting that curve and going on the back nine there, because your game picks up.
That's right.
That first nine holes of your life, you learn a few things. You go through a few things. It could be divorce. It could be raising kids. It could be college. It can be everything. But that back nine, that's where the rubber meets the road. Because now you have a finite amount of time to get in there and do what it is you want to do. So I tell people I embrace the back nine. And the reason why, because as I've matured, and I've learned so much more that I feel like you start to age backwards because you keep your mind active. And that's the first thing that people typically go is like, people are like, well, you're not going through all these detailed and you're not reading all these different things. What do you do to just give your brain a rest? I said, I'm not going to lie. I have a couple of strategy war games I play on my phone. Okay. And I said, or I'll play something that I have to do stuff together. I said, these things, it calms my brain down.
Yep.
But it also allows me to stay engaged.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
So I may not be doing high processing stuff, but I'm like here playing Royal Match, and I'm playing some other war game that has strategy involved.
That's right. Absolutely.
So my transformative thing is like, as we the first phase of our lives, as we were starting to understand things and figuring out, and then of course you hit 50, you're like, okay, I got, the good Lord willing, you say I got another 30, 35, that's willing, healthy years left on this earth.
That's right.
What am I going to do with this time?
That's right.
And so for me, the transformative thing I always tell people, I said, what I've learned is that with the amount of time being finite, when you're engaging with other people and other opportunities, as you guys know, you have to ask yourself within the first 10 to 15 minutes, is this conversation going to take me somewhere that allows me to have an ROI on it?
Yes.
Is there a business problem that's going to be solved that's going to allow us to be able to generate revenue? And then once that goes to your mind, then secondly, you're like, is that the kind of person I can do that with? Are we of like mind?
Yes.
To accomplish this goal? And so, because we all know not all money is good money.
Yeah, never.
And we've all had to make some decisions to get some not so good money just to kind of keep the wheel moving.
There you go.
But
Those tough choices.
Yeah, those tough choices. But it's not ill-gotten gains. It's more like, I'm right here at this point where I really don't want to work this person, but the money's pretty good. So let me just push through.
Right.
But then the transformative part goes, like, my next question is, I got COVID for the first time. I think I shared with you guys today. And I told somebody I had my beard was down here and I had patches of hair look like Fred Sanford. And I was like, okay, I lost about 20 pounds, couldn't do anything. I'm laying on the couch. And I remember you went through a very difficult one. And I was immobilized, couldn't move.
Yeah.
And that gives you time to think. And I'm sitting like, what do I need to do different in 2024? And I made it say, I'm not going to work with certain kind of people who waste my time. I don't care if the money's good. I finally said, I don't care
Right.
if it's good money.
Yep.
Because what you can't get is peace of mind back.
Yep. Right.
And I made that decision, and I tell people, I said, I'm putting my confidence in my supreme being, that once I put that out in the air, in the space, something's going to happen. I start the new year off. My two partners here, we have an engaging conversation about what we can do next. I'm like, these two brothers, we all like-minded.
Yeah.
A lovely time at the home over here, and engage with other like-minded
Absolutely.
men, which I share with Steve. And I love the fact when we get a lot of us together, it's a man of like mind.
Yes.
We don't have to look at, he just here, but he ain't really. No,
Yeah.
he's going to be here.
Right.
He about that life.
Exactly.
I made that proclamation what I wasn't going to do. I told people I don't do New Year resolutions. I do a proclamation that this is what I'm going to do. I'm putting this down, line in the sand. And as soon as I did that, brother from Charlotte, North Carolina, one of the big real estate developers. So I built the app for NAREB. So NAREB is the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. I know Dr. Courtney Rose.
Yep.
That friend of ours.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So she and I, like I said, I got you. You want to do next level stuff. You want to push it. You want to be a trailblazer. And I was like, so I said, I'm with you all the way. I said, I work with another trailblazer, Dr. Felicia Nave, first president of Alcorn State University. I said, so let me give you what's going to happen. I said, people are not always ready for trailblazers.
They're not always ready.
And and I said, so you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Around people who you think are here to assist you on this goal, but really they said, she's doing too much. She's doing too much. And I said, I got you though.
Yeah.
And so from that call, she asked me to come on and speak about technology, what we're doing, and the different phases. And she had this thing like, I just shared what you heard the other day, and we were talking, but in that call, there were multiple people in there saying, hey, I need help. Can you help me build this app? Can we do that? So I got like 3, just off that call, 3 people that I'm in and now the process of my team is building together proposals to build stuff for them.
So our timekeeper is selling us his time.
Yeah.
But I love what we're talking about. Comfortable being uncomfortable. It's all about strategic relationships and the right ones. Spending your time. Time is valuable, right? We don't have very much of it. And so that's our most valuable commodity.
Absolutely.
We have to utilize it properly. So great podcast.
Thank you.
Leslie Wilson, the man. The myth, the legend. So we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we always like to leave out with our little saying that we say.
Absolutely. And again, Les, thanks again for your time, man. This is a rare opportunity to have someone of your stature to join us on this, and I think it's something we don't take lightly.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate the invitation.
And you had to drive all the way from
Don't do it like that.
At least he's driving a luxury. He gonna drive. See, he talked about that hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes drive, but when you drive, when the leather is supple, it just rides. It rides.
I know these.
A little different.
I talk
It's a little different.
Oh yeah, it does. I ain't gonna lie.
But again, podcast family, thank you for joining us. Please like and share. Tell a friend about this podcast. We're hoping that you're getting gems from this. We continue to try to put together very informational, extraordinary opportunities to meet people like Les. So thank you so much. So we just want you to remember that with each step beyond boundaries, you redefine what's possible.
Navigate your life with passion, purpose, and determination. Thanks, guys. Be blessed. Take care.
All right. Thank you, guys.